We do not need Raw. We do not need Friday Night SmackDown. We have All Elite Wrestling : Dynamite, and we have NXT, and boys and girls, that is more than enough. What a night last night was for professional wrestling, and my heart is just flying away with the Eagle's nest. Such joy, such happiness. But as for the first ever episode of All Elite Wrestling : Dynamite, I really bloody liked it. Going through the show segment by segment, there wasn't anything that stunk, and that is fantastic. And as for the ending, dear God, I don't. But anyhow, I am Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com, still your reigning and defending Cultaholic Heavyweight Champion, and even though this brand new series might well cost me a guest or two on the illustrious Straight to Hell series, we're going to go for it. Here are all the WTF moments from All Elite Wrestling : Dynamite. WTF! Huh? Jay and Silent Bob were in attendance. Nice. Smoking weed, smoking whiz, doing coke, drinking beers. Rolling fatties, smoking blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts. Go on the wrestling. Now there is a sign right there that reads Alles Erdenklich gut, which according to Google Translate is German for all the very best. So I just love the fact that in Germany, perhaps the German commentators are commentating on top of all the very best, Dynamite. All the best. And next up we have Jim Ross saying 14,129 fans have jammed this joint months ago, weeks ago, sold out all the tickets baggered. Now in the words of Dwight K. Schrute, Jim. Anybody with internet access knows that thing there that you said is a massive white lie. Because in the build up to this show, if you looked at the internet, you knew fine well it wasn't a sellout, and that was before production made those extra seats available. And on top of that, anybody with access to a working set of eyes actually saw that what Jim said there was a massive white lie by God. Now I was recently listening to one of Jim Ross's podcasts with big old Conrad Thompson, and in the words of Mr. Barnett, look at those cheeks. Now I listen to podcasts in bed when I'm going to sleep because quite frankly, I don't like being alone in the dark, so voices being there in the wilderness makes me feel like I've got people there to protect me. Jim Ross and Conrad protecting me as I go to bed. But I swear down, I heard Jim Ross telling on his recent podcast episode that he asked Geordie Pack himself, how the hell do you say your name, body lad? And in response, Geordie Pack told Jim Ross that Pack is actually pronounced Pock, spelled P-O-C-H. So then, at the start of last night's episode, I was very shocked to hear that Jim Ross was back to saying Pack instead of Pock, even though we all say Pack, and what does any of this matter really? But still, if that bastard tells you to say Pock and you do not say Pock, I think that is worthy of being a WTF moment, because Pock is hard as fuck. Jim then goes on to thank the fans who are watching all over the world, and then goes on to say thank you to the fans who are watching in the United Kingdom on ITV. Now I don't want to open this can of worms once again, because since the original announcement, AEW have changed it and given us fans in the UK something much better. But when Jim said that, nonetheless, nobody in the UK was watching AEW on ITV. They were watching it legally, definitely legally, on Fight. Now the following WTF moment is in response to a lot of you lovely people at home who tweeted me saying boo to Jim Ross for just repeating Tony Schiavone when Tony was talking about Nitro's first ever match between Brian Pillman and Jushin Thunder Liger. And that is because it turns out that Jim Ross wasn't actually just repeating what Tony said. Jim Ross was telling us additional facts to make everything wholesome. Christmas Day 1991, WCW at Atlanta. We had a match between Jushin Thunder Liger and Brian Pillman, with Jushin taking Brian Pillman's WCW World Light Heavyweight Championship off him. Merry Christmas to you, Brian, and go on, Jim effing Ross. And next up we have Cody doing an Oz cutter, and I never saw that coming, therefore WTF. Well, Cody is blonde, and he's jacked, and he is a pig. So if you squint. And then Sammy did one as well, which left me wondering whether this was AEW saying, now come on Willie, we know you've just moved to Japan, but Bea Priestley, she's coming over, come and join us. and have a custody of the Oz Cutter match against Cody and against Sammy. It'll be a right hoot. And I guess if next week people on the air on AEW Dynamite start referring to themselves as sex pigs, we might just have our answer. Brandi Rhodes, head of steel. That there, boys and girls, was a massive whack to be taken to the head from some steel. It's a great job that AEW, at one of their recent shows, had Chris Nowinski, the brain expert, backstage explaining what to do with a concussion, because with that whack there's no doubt that Brandi Rhodes was thinking she was back to being AJ Styles' sister. She was called Eden Styles in WWE. Funny. Yep. And thank Christ, but that sign there does have a point. This is what the future looks like, boys and girls. No, it doesn't look like garlic bread, but it looks like an American professional wrestling show, not having that delusional, sweaty, middle-aged Joe Rogan wannabe spoiling every single segment. And no, I'm not talking about Chris Jericho. He's not sweaty. Let's just hope that Kevin Owens ends everything tomorrow and we'll all be fine. And next up we have the moment where Tony Schiavone asks if there are Dungeons and Dragons muscles, because apparently really muscular men, they play the D&D. And then Excalibur tells Tony Schiavone those D&D muscles are normally found in the wrist. Wanking! Was Excalibur really saying that D&D fans cannot find themselves a real-life partner, so they have to resort to wanking all the time? Now, I know he clarified his statement by saying it was all about the dice and the shaking of the dice, but don't tell me your mind didn't go to where my mind went. First of all, Excalibur is a heel confirmed. Maybe. A great view of Cutler being sent into the ring post. They said, a view where we couldn't even see what the hell his top half of his body was doing, therefore anything could have literally happened. We don't know. We couldn't see it. I mean, we know what happened, but we couldn't see it all the same. Now, I really like that camera angle there. It's different. I've never seen it before, but for what they were showing there, it just didn't work, did it? Now, isn't it amazing that AEW were actually able to get the real Barack Obama to provide the voiceover for Scorpio Sky's presidential address there? And before you mention the Battle of the Billionaires, they didn't know what was going to happen. Donald probably didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know it was going to happen. None of us knew, not at all. How the hell did they manage to get from outside the White House, out of those suits, into some sick street clothes, yo, and then into the arena in the blink of an eye? SCU, more like MOM, Ministry of Magic, because they're wizards. Shame on that camera shot there. One thing I was personally hoping that AEW wouldn't do, that WWE do, is the fact that their wrestlers never seem to realise a camera is filming the things they do. Why on earth would Chris Jericho be talking strategy when there's a massive, great big HD camera filming right in his face? And I know that Jim Ross said we didn't hear much in the way of strategy, and we didn't really hear much in the way of strategy, but we could have done, so the point still stands, I think, me hack ways. And I've said it before on this channel, and I'll say it again, TNA had its spotty dog spot on when they had the hidden camera business going on way back in the day, just pretending the cameras aren't there when they have to be there because they're filming what's happening. That's really weird. Now, this is only really a WTF moment if you didn't know, and I didn't know, therefore it's a WTF moment on this video. Earl Hebner is 70 years old. He moves like he's 20 years old, and he tweets like he's an umpty. But 70 years old and moving like he was last night? Go on, Big Earl. And next up we have the moment where Excalibur called a massive avalanche fall-away slam an avalanche blockbuster. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's right. And it probably is right, because it's Excalibur, and he gets everything right, doesn't he? But I guess the WTF moment has to be, presumably, that an avalanche fall-away slam is called an avalanche blockbuster, when a blockbuster is a thing that happens on the ropes anyway. But then that makes you think, what does an avalanche blockbuster, in the blockbuster sense, actually look like when a normal blockbuster takes place from the middle rope anyways? Answers on a postcard, please. Green James Ellsworth man is in his same front seat in the front row of an AEW show, and I feel like I've been transported to a parallel universe. A WWE universe, that is. Dear. But one question, of course, which also, I guess, has to be a WTF moment, since Green James Ellsworth man was in the front row last night. Where is the ghoul, and where is the ghoul's mom? That was two questions. And just how young is Orange Cassidy? Or Tangerine Cassidy, as he should now be known. I'm off home. And then this was the camera shot when I thought something's not quite right here, boys and girls. Now I can appreciate that AEW are taking things retro with the size of the women's world title, but that thing to me, boys and girls, is nothing more than a wristwatch. Now just imagine if here in 2019 you've got the retro to naff scale. That thing there, just in terms of its sheer size, is more naff than it is retro. Now, of course, this might have been in vogue way back when, but it isn't way back when anymore. You've got in fact, you've got a really classy modern design, but it's just so small. The juxtaposition doesn't quite work for me. Just my opinion. You might disagree. And if you do, good for you. And the thing is, I love the intricacy of that design right there. It's just way too small. They've taken the word belt way too literally, haven't they? Nyla Rose is a numpty. Pass it on. Now, that referee there did not have to do what he did, but I fully understand why he did it, because crowning your first ever AEW Women's World Champion like that would be bollocks. But still, why get the chair involved in the first place? Nyla Rose is a numpty again. Pass it on. Again. Alberto Del Rio. Riho is on the brink of passing out right there. Yet Nyla, let's go. Why? Now I thought that Michael Naka. How many Nakas does that man have? I've got 2. How many do you? I thought he was a wrestler, but last night he was a broadcaster, and immediately he became the best broadcasting Michael in the professional wrestling world. Kenny saw him there. Kenny saw him there as well. Yet Kenny still turned around and got the mullet beat right off his head by Jon Moxley. If you saw him, Ken, why would you turn around and do that? And speaking about people seeing things and then not doing the thing they should have done after seeing the thing they saw, Big Bryce, where was the DQ? Jon Moxley was not involved in that match. He beat the mullet right off Kenny Omega's head, yet there was no DQ. Now I fully understand the concept of referee's discretion. What the referee says, that's what goes. And who knows, maybe in 6 weeks down the line, we learn that in 6-man orgies in AEW, there's no DQs. But we didn't know that last night, did we? But I have it on official authority that on page 52 of the Wrestling Handbook, that says that there are DQs in 6-man tag matches. So Big Bryce, learn your rules. You better learn your rules. If you don't, you'll be eaten in your sleep. Hung. Lovely. 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 But was anybody else watching this moment thinking to themselves, do you remember when Dean Ambrose used to say, fans, I don't like you because you smell? But also, imagine paying for a VIP experience, a VIP area, an area that doesn't even have a view of the ring. What a rip-off. And next up we have the realization that we saw Young Bucks match where Matt did the majority of the work. This is unprecedented. And then we have the moment where a fan hoid a hot dog into the ring. Chris Jericho picked it up. Chris Jericho asked, who hoid this wiener into the ring? At that moment, in his hands, Chris Jericho had a little bit of the banger English thing. And then we got to the very closing stages of the show, and it was very 2000 WWF, and I thought it was fantastic. It was all kicking off, but then the pièce de resistance came, the hair on top of the cake, as the spirit of 5-star wrestling flooded All Elite Wrestling with the debut of Jake Hager. And I know a lot of you at home, you didn't suckle on the magical teat that was 5-star wrestling, but let me now show you why I'm so excited about Jake Hager being in All Elite Wrestling thanks to this little compilation put together by our very own Richard Tubman. If you like what you see, credit him.
Everybody in this building knows who I am. Huh? I could go on and on about the attributes that I have won to further explain who I am, but this is only a 3-hour show, so let's get to the point. Huh? I want you to get a big old wham burger, some French fries. Huh? I said French fries. It's funny, it's a joke. Huh?
So there we are, Jake Hager putting his point of view across.
Huh?
Quite frankly, you can shove your Tommaso Ciampas. You can shove your Finn Balor's. I'm really saying this. AEW were the real winners last night. I'm still really saying this because AEW have Jake Hager, and as long as it's 5-star wrestling Jake Hager and not boring, bland charismaless vacuum of nothingness, WWE Jack Swagger, AEW, oh god, my workload is going to treble even more. Jake Hager, in the 5-star wrestling sense, is an absolute car crash, and I cannot wait to see what's to come. His first promo is going to knock the socks off you. I mean, also, you've got now the legitimate Bellator MMA fighting record, and the fact he is really tall and really big and really tough. But forget about all that. He's mental, and it's going to be great. And I guess while we're here talking about Jake Hager, hit the pop Jake Hager got, that has to be a WTF moment, because never in the however many years Jake Hager has been in the professional wrestling ring has Jake Hager ever got a pop like he did last night. There's no doubt upon hearing that pop. Yes, he looked confused, but inside he would have been saying... But also, I guess we've got to make this a WTF moment. Dustin Rhodes, in full gear, face paint, when he wasn't booked to wrestle. WWE video games come to life as professional wrestler wears their wrestling gear in every aspect of their life. And there's something quite wholesome about that, really, isn't there? And that there was just about the closing shot of the show, and quite frankly, if they're not called the 5 Hetmen, I'm off home. I've been Ross Waddell from Cultaholic.com, your Cultaholic Heavyweight Champion. This was all the WTF moments from the first ever AEW Dynamite episode. And as I said, I liked just about everything I saw. It was great. Hager's there. I cannot wait to see what's to come. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I'm very excited. Bye.
I'm a heel!
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us.